Now for Zeus's illegitimate children who make it into the Olympians. Trust me, there's a whole lot more. We're just talking about the ones who make it into the Olympians. It's in the wrong place. We're going to be talking about Apollo and Artemis. Okay. Apollo and Artemis are children of Zeus with a goddess named Leto. Leto is one of his cousins. She's the daughter of one of the Titans. Zeus was involved with her too before he married Hera, but he keeps seeing her after he's married to Hera. So Hera, of course, is jealous. She finds out that Leto is pregnant by Zeus. And so she curses Leto and says, you can't rest on any land. And of course, you can't rest on water. Why, I don't know. But you can't rest on land. And Hera even sends a dragon named Python to chase her around. We'll catch up to Python later in the semester. Finally, Leto finds an island that's just been newly formed, and it hasn't stuck to the bottom of the water yet, and so it's floating around. And so that counts as not land. And so Hera's curse doesn't apply there, so she's able to make it to land where she's able to finally take a nap. Zeus is doing nothing to help her. You're going to get used to that. That's the way Zeus does things. That's the way he rolls. But what does Leto say? Oh, this time he'll be different. I've changed him. He loves me. This time he'll do things different. Have you heard that one before? Don't be that person. Don't be that woman. Don't be that man. Don't be that guy. Don't be that woman. Anyway, finally she can take a nap, which is a good thing because she goes into labor for 9 days. Which is an awful long time to go into labor for. Why is she in labor for 9 days? Well, Hera's daughter, Aletheia, is the goddess of childbirth. And Hera won't let Aletheia go and let Leto give birth to her twins. And finally the gods start to feel sorry for Leto, so they bribe Hera with a huge necklace. If she'll let Aletheia come and deliver Leto's children. So Aletheia shows up. Apollo is born first. The Romans called him Apollo too, so that's easy. He's the god of light and prophecy and reason. I put the sun up there, and you can go ahead and jot that down. I'll say some more things about that in a minute, because your first thought is we already have a sun god, right? But I'll have some thoughts about that in a second. He's also the god of healing and archery and music and song and poetry and boy children. All these gods multitask, okay? They're all in charge of different things. But I've only put down the big ones for you to learn. And then his sister Artemis is born next. The Romans called her Diana. And as you see on the screen, she's the goddess of animals and hunting and virginity. She's associated with the moon. And she takes care of girl children. One of her symbols is the bow and arrow. You see, you can make out the arrows there in her quiver. Now I put the moon up here for Artemis and the sun up there for Apollo. Now you know the Greeks already have a sun god. Who's the Greek sun god? Helios. There's also Hyperion, the animistic god that Helios kind of moves in and replaces. And the Greeks had a goddess of the moon as well. But the Romans are the ones who adopt these stories, the story of Artemis, the story of Apollo, and apply Apollo to being the anthropomorphic sun god and Artemis to being the anthropomorphic moon god. So the Romans think of Artemis as the moon god, the Greeks not so much, they already got one, and the same for Apollo. The Greeks already have Helios, they don't need another sun god, but the Romans don't have one, and so they kind of adopt the Apollo stories and apply them to the sun. Artemis is born with black hair and very fair skin. Apollo is born with blonde hair and very well-tanned skin. Artemis has a bow that shoots silver arrows that put people to sleep before they die. Apollo has golden arrows that burn people before they die. So there's plenty in the myth to connect Apollo to the moon and Artemis to or Apollo to the sun and Artemis to the moon for the Romans to make use of. Apollo, some general characteristics. He's unlucky in love. He'll have all kinds of children, but he never gets married, never has any kind of stable relationship. With men, it just doesn't ever work out either. With trees, just don't ask. It doesn't work out with trees. I told you, don't ask. Artemis never gets married. She never has a boyfriend, never falls in love, doesn't have any children. But she's really, really interesting. She's not like her Aunt Vespa. She's an interesting one.